Shalom, Akim, this is the brother CHAARAWTAZA, GMSORLANDO, GMSFLORIDA. So today, what I'm gonna get into is homosexuality, man. Why do Israelites hate homosexuality, man? All right. Why do we hate homosexuality, and why are we against homosexuality? Okay. Now, the first reason is yes, because it's in the Bible, but there's a logical reason for that. All right. We're not when you look at us Israelites, you see us on the street, you see us, yelling, or we just out there talking or whatever. We're not illogical people. All right. We're very logical. Okay. Contrary to what you believe. All right. So we're going to go through a couple videos. We're going to show a couple things, and we're going to get into some scriptures, and we're going to get into some logic and some conversation. So I want to show a couple videos right here. All right. So this is the first video. It's by this artist. Okay. I want you to listen to this.
Dyke. Yeah. I used to struggle till I found the courage to say fuck it, this what it is. Started bagging all the bitches with niggas I grew up with. Coming out was never easy, but neither was denying it. My grandma say she loved me regardless of who I'm lying with. Her opinion was the only one who really counted. And then she told me that my talent can never be doubted. Don't get discouraged by people who hate you, cause the only man to judge you is the man you pray to.
Now, she said the only man to judge you is the man you pray to, right? Now, this is the thing. That same man, notice it's a white Jesus. Which that white Jesus, he don't care if you be a homosexual, because he himself is a homosexual. But the real so-called Jesus, YAHAWASHI, he clearly tells the people to follow the laws of the Most High. Right, he says in Matthew chapter 23, verse 1, Then spake YAHAWASHI, or Jesus, to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, The scribes and the priests sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you, observe, that observe and do, but do not ye after their works, for they say not and do not. Right. So they were telling people to keep the laws. Now, what is one of the laws? One of the laws is against homosexuality. Let's get another one clear cut. Right. So here's another one. I'll just quote it real quick. This is Matthew chapter 8, verse 4. And YAHAWASHI, Jesus said unto him, He will tell no man, but go thy way, show thyself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded for the testimony unto them, which was a part of the law. So she's claiming, the only man that could judge you is the one that you pray to. Talking about YAHAWASHI, or you call Jesus Christ. But clearly he said not to be a homosexual. Okay? Alright? So this is the thing, man. This is the thing, man. So let's keep moving on. That's good for that.
Yeah, well, we Jamaican as a see a gay, so book, gay guy. Them see a batty boy for dead. They use the umbrella of the gay community to commit crimes.
So the man not to try war because the rules are dangerous.
In homosexuality in Jamaica don't have any hope. They're gonna kill us faster.
Right, so, and you can watch this whole thing. It's called Young and Gay Jamaica's Gully Queens. So you're telling me that there's nothing wrong with that? With these men walking around dressing like women, acting like women, having the spirit of a woman? And you're telling me that there's nothing wrong with a woman dressing like a man, acting like she's a man? That's pure confusion. All right? And the thing that gets me, especially with these Egyptian dudes, yeah, we're going to put you on blast, Shaka almost. All right? Is that They run around talking about all this Glory Africa shit and talking about uplifting we gonna uplift our people, but they ain't cursing out these fucking homosexuals, man. We out there doing that shit every week, man. We out there, you know, cursing these homosexuals out and telling them that they ain't supposed to be doing that shit. You ain't doing it. And I'll tell you one thing, because them Egyptians, them ancient Egyptians had a homosexual spirit on them, man. Look at this guy, man. Let me pull up one of these guy videos, man. Let's put it on mute, so all you see is his actions, his movement. So you telling me that this homosexual spirit is okay, and it's cool and it's great, and if you want to be a homosexual, that's okay. Hell no, it ain't okay. Look at this dude, man. Look at him. This is what these Egyptian dudes is about, man. This is what the ancient Egyptians was about. It was about homosexuality and folly, man. I ain't gonna show no more of this dude praying to this woman. Alright, so let's look at this Shaka Amos dude. Let's look what he talking about. And it ain't just to get on him. This should get on all you damn fucking you Egyptian niggas pushing this worship of the woman and homosexuality. If you worshiping a woman, right? For men, you're going to imitate the person that you worship, because this person is what you call the perfect being, okay? All right? That's why this Egyptology has a homosexual spirit on it. That's why America has a homosexual spirit on it, because America and Egypt and these Kemet dudes, they worship women. You look out there up there in New York, and what's standing out there what's standing out there before you get to New York? The Statue of Liberty. What is it? It's a fucking woman. America worships the woman. So now that's why America has a woman spirit on it, and Egypt had a woman spirit on it, and these Egyptology dudes got a woman spirit. They got feminine spirit. They might not be gay, like they might not be full out like homosexuals, gay, having sex with men, but if they're not gay, they have woman tendencies, man. They act like women, they think like women, being illogical, being emotional, and not being able to take order, being fickle, man. So let's look at this dude.
Pants hanging off your ass is gay. It's very, very gay. I'm not saying that anything wrong with being gay, but if that's what you want to be that. I come from prison. Pants hanging off your ass is gay. It's very, very gay. I'm not saying that anything wrong with being gay, but if that's what you want to be.
Right, so, like you said, he said that, and we're not getting at the pants hanging off your ass is gay, whatever. That's cool. What we're getting at is, you said, and there's nothing wrong with being gay. If you want to be gay, be it. I don't want to quote him wrong. Let's listen to it again.
I come from prison. Pants hanging off your ass is gay. It's very, very gay. I'm not saying that anything wrong with being gay, but that's.
He's not saying that there's anything wrong with being gay. Now this is what you want us to turn to. But America's already pushing this, man. Matter of fact, let's go to this article. Alright, this is from Chicago News. University of Chicago News. Americans move dramatically towards acceptance of homosexuality, survey finds. This is September 28, 2011. It says, although sharply divided, public attitudes towards gay and lesbians are rapidly changing to reflect greater acceptance, with younger generations leading the way. Research by Nork at the University of Chicago shows. Now, what's the proof in that? What's the proof in that? This statement right here. This is the proof.
Come from prison, pants hanging off your ass is gay. It's very, very gay. I'm not saying anything wrong with being gay, but
I'm not saying anything is wrong with being gay. But hold on, I thought Egypt was totally against homosexuals. But you're saying that there's nothing wrong. You're not saying there's anything wrong with being gay. See, that's that whole. See, when you don't have a foundation in the scriptures, and you don't have a solid no to something. No, like we do in the scriptures, you can't be a homosexual. Then you start to, as time goes, and this society weighs down on you, because this society can weigh down on you. You start to change your minds about things. Oh, maybe homosexuality is something that homosexuality is something that you're born with. Maybe it's okay, just as long as I'm not gay. Then it turns to your ass be gay. Alright, so the attitudes of America and the people in America is changing. I was talking to this guy out at camp one day, and he was on this everybody should get together shit. So I asked him, I said, hey, you do, and he was saying we believe the same thing. So the brother Hamilton told me, say, hey man, ask him if he believe in homosexuality. So I said, yo, you believe in you think homosexuality is okay? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, see, we don't believe the same thing. So we say homosexuality is not okay and people should be put to death for committing that act. And he was like, no, man, homosexuality is okay, man. I'm like, okay, well, who told you that? He's like, well, it is, just is. So I'm like, okay, well, let me ask you something, man. Back in the 20s and 30s, was homosexuality okay? He was like, no. I was like, okay, well, let me ask you something else. Your grandmother and your grandfather, do they believe in homosexuality? Or are they like, do they believe that homosexuality is okay? Like, was it okay in their time? He was like, no, it wasn't okay. I was like, okay, so let's go up some more. When you was a kid, was homosexuality okay? Like, was that the thing, and was it okay? He was like, no, it wasn't okay, but it's okay today. And I'm like, you know why? Because the media has influenced and told you what you think. The school system has influenced and told you what was right and wrong. See, everybody falls under some type of influence. Okay, it just happened to be that our influence is the Holy Scriptures and the Most High YAHAWASHI. But the rest of the world, and you Egypt dudes, your influence is this society. And this society, which is based off of ancient Egypt, okay, in the media. That's your influence. That's why this guy's saying that that's why he's saying he's not saying there's anything wrong with homosexuality. We saying there's something wrong with it, man. There's something terribly wrong with homosexuality. Okay? It's illogical. Not only is it illogical, it goes against all creation, man. Not only does it go against all creation, it goes against all logic. Not only does it go against all logic, but it goes against yourself. You're sinning against yourself when you commit homosexuality. Your transgression, you're hurting yourself. You're destroying yourself because you cannot reproduce yourself if you're a homosexual. You're not having sex with women, therefore you do not reproduce yourself, therefore you're not copying yourself in the earth. So it's detrimental to yourself. There is something wrong with homosexuality. And homosexuality is is something that recently became popular. You look at all these little young girls, all of them fucking lesbians. If they're not lesbians, they go both ways. Bunch of damn freaks. You look at all these little young dudes, man. If they ain't fucking feminine, because like I said, they might not be faggots, but they feminine as fuck. If they're not feminine, they faggots. Homosexuals And if they're not just straight homosexuals, they go both ways. And this is the perversion, man. This is perverting our people, man. This is the killing off of our people. In ancient Egypt, let's go to it. In Exodus, yeah, we're going to read it out the scriptures. So that's what we do. And if you're mad with it, you could just click the X off this shit. Alright? In ancient Egypt, Exodus chapter 1, it says, come, let us deal. This is what the Pharaoh said. Come, let us deal wisely with them, talking about the Hebrews. Lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies, and fight us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. Notice that they didn't want them to go out of the land, just like America don't want us to leave. And they built Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their services wherein they made them serve with rigor. And the king of Egypt, spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shipporah, and the name of the other was Puah. And he said, when ye do the office of midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. Now check it out. He said, if it be a son, ye shall kill him. Now why is he telling him to kill the? Why is he telling her to kill the sons and leave alive the women? Because if you kill the sons, and that's funny too. That's funny he's saying that, because if you kill the sons, there's no more lineages through the male. There's no more Israel. All right? Except for the women that you do have sex with. But when that child comes out, that child is whatever the father is. So they want to kill off the men. Plus the men are the protectors of the nation. All right? Of the people. So America's doing the same thing. Instead of, they had these little things where they was causing the women to commit abortion. But now, why even have them commit abortion? Just make them have sex with each other and dislike the opposite sex. That way, they never have kids. They don't have babies, man. And that lessens the population. So what the fuck do you mean you're not saying there's anything wrong with being gay? Being a homosexual is detrimental to your race. It's detrimental to yourself. Okay? And it's a sin against the Creator. All right? As y'all like to say, the Creator gave you the power to create, and you're not even going to create because you're homosexual. You're supposed to reproduce yourself. You're just going to say, fuck the Creator. I'm not creating myself. I'm not reproducing myself. Spitting in the Creator's face. We know him as YAHAWAH. But I'm just speaking in your terms. Okay, so this dude is off, man. And this homosexuality shit is off. Let's look at this shit again.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being gay, but if that's what you want to be that.
There is something wrong with being gay. Alright? So, let me see. Now, I don't know if you all knew, but that homosexuality shit has a long history in Egypt. I mean, in Africa. And I don't even go this far. They say even amongst the people that was in West Africa. But where did they learn that shit from? All right, just like we're in America and we learn this homosexuality shit again from the so-called white man, and he's pushing this homosexuality out. Where did our people learn this homosexuality from? They learned the shit from the ancient society that was dominating in this day, and they was pushing the same shit out. The fucking Egyptians, man. All right. So this says on what traditional African homosexuality learned from the West. It says traditional. I'm going to read this article for a little bit, so you have to bear with me. Homosexuality has a long history in Africa, says anthropologist Patrick Awando. Contrary to the claims of politicians who consider it a recent Western import. But Awando acknowledged in an interview last month that two key elements in the debate over homosexuality in Africa did come from the West. First, colonial-era laws against homosexuality activities, and more recently, the establishment of groups opposing discrimination against gays, lesbians, and transgender people. Homosexuality has always existed, but some of the current forms of gay self-identification and gay activism originated elsewhere, he said. Awando was in Cameroon. Cameroon is in West Africa, and some of our people came from the slave trade to America from Cameroon. It says Awando was in Cameroon last month to help lead a training session on HIV/AIDS. Why is he going to lead a session on HIV/AIDS? Because when you have homosexual sex, it's more easy. STDs are more easily acquired because the rectum is not made to take things in. It's made to push things out. Excrement, shit. All right. And when you ram when two homosexual men have sex up the rectum, it bleeds. Okay. It bleeds, and which makes you more susceptible to so-called STDs. All right, so it says, citing historical records of homosexual practices in Africa, Awando mentioned evidence of same-sex relationships in Cameroon, Zimbabwe. Our people didn't come from there. All right. Burkina Faso and Benin. All right, it says, it is helpful for Africans to know about ancient practices such as Masi kings, sexual relations with their pages. Now, what is a page? Let me go here. A page or page boy is traditionally a young male servant, but may also have been used for a messenger at a service, or a nobleman, or a apprentice knight. The origin of the term is uncertain, but may come either from Latin pagus, servant, possibly linked to peasant, or the earlier Greek word pious, child. Okay, so where's that article? All right, so these Masi kings, all right, I need to look that up. These Masi kings were having a sexual relationship with their pages, okay, with little young boys. All right, and that cut you dudes, man, because you like to talk about all that shit about Africa, Africa this, Africa that, and then when we tell you that it's okay, you know, that we're not saying that we do this now, but when we tell you that when a girl gets her period, that she's ready to become married and to have sex, and that it really, according to the laws and according to the ancient customs, that it's okay to have sexual relations with that girl, you're looking at us and calling us child rapists. But here you got these African kings were having sex with little boys, worse than the motherfucking Roman Catholic Church. Little boys. Okay? Same as the Greeks and the Romans. All right? So let's look up this Masi King shit. Okay, the Masi people. It says are a people of central Burkina Faso, living mostly in villages of the nationalized Ukembe, formerly Volta River Basin. The Mansa are the largest ethnic group in Burkina Faso, consisting of more than 40% of the population. Okay, let's see what this shit is. Alright, basically the interior of West Africa. Alright. So these Mossi kings were having sexual relations with their pages, little boys, or with their servants, and marriages between women and the homie, he said. Knowing historical truth lets us avoid unhistorical lies, he said, such as, the shit. And I'm gonna get into this right after this. I'm gonna get into this video on the Book of the Dead to show you, all right, that these Hamites, these ancient Egyptians, they went to homosexuality, man. All right, they went into homosexuality and folly. But it says, Awando has a doctorate in political sociology and medical anthropology from the School for Advanced Studies in Social Sciences in Paris. A translation of his interview with the Cameroonian journalist Eric O. Lumbimbi appears below. Lumbimbi is a leader of the Cameroonian Foundation for AIDS and association with the goal of promoting and projecting human rights. Let's skip down because I don't want to. Does the practices of homosexuality play a role in the histories of African custom? Please give an example if possible. As social scientists, I will refer you to others' work in the field. For first, the short, very fine work of Maury and Roscoe, published in 1998 under the title Boys, Wives, and Female Husbands, Studies of African Homosexualities. It tells an early work of anthropologists and explorations throughout the continent, sometimes even during the initial contact with Africans, who described what was said about homosexuality by the people who at the time were called the natives. Alright, talking about native Africans. Also worth mentioning in the work of historian Mark Epworth, including his fine book, Hungo Shkani, a story of dissident sexuality in Southern Africa, South Africa, which is not our people. All right. It says, which traces of homosexuality practices in the area now known as Zimbabwe. I used some of these works in my PhD thesis, and I devoted a chapter to homosexuality among a Biti of Cameroon, as seen in pre-colonial traditions such as the Mivangu ritual of a secret society for women. See that? Analysis of the indigenous speech, first collected by ethnologists, sheds light on what homosexuality represents in those cultures, along with their discussions about it, which indicates that both homosexuality and debate about it had always existed. Now there's a video of this guy on YouTube, this Egyptologist, and he says, I wish I could find it. He says that homosexuals in ancient, the priests and everybody like that in ancient Egypt were homosexuals. He was saying that homosexuals, their job and their calling was to be spiritual, and that's their job in ancient Egypt. Let me see if I can find it. All right, so I found it. Here you go, right here. So this is what this guy says about the ancient Egyptians and stuff like that. Here you go.
What is the spiritual purpose of being a black gay man? The Dogon of Mali, Africa, as well as the Kamau, the blacks of ancient Egypt, had a very clear answer. They said, shamans. We are the shamans of the village. We are the spiritual keepers of the gates. Thus we were called gatekeepers. The question is, what's a gate? A gate simply is a state of mind or energy. A state of mind means a thought. Energy means a feeling. You have thoughts all day long, and you feel things all day long. And sometimes the thoughts may not be positive or constructive, nor the feelings working properly.
Right, so the guy told you. Let me go back a little bit.
What is the spiritual purpose of being a black gay man? The Dogon of Mali, Africa, as well as the Kamau, the blacks of ancient Egypt, had a very clear answer. They said, shamans. We are the shamans of the village.
Exactly. So, when you go into this ancient Egypt, all right, and a lot of our people, when we fled the Romans, went into Egypt, and we were at the Library of Alexandria. A lot of our people took on them customs. They went to West Africa with them same customs of being faggots, and them same Egyptian customs. All right. So this same thing with what's going on today with this homosexuality and this pushing this homosexuality is not new. It's not something that's synonymous to America. It's new and America created. No, that goes all the way back to the Egyptians. The Egyptians were a bunch of homosexuals, and they were, you know, when they were in their heyday, they were the big kingdom pushing down homosexuality. Why do you think these so-called elites in America practice this shit? Because it's a form of witchcraft. All right, the dude just told you that their job in Africa, okay, the job of the black homosexual man was to be a motherfucking shaman. He's supposed to be a spiritual advisor or somebody that was spiritual. This goes all the way back to ancient Egypt. This is why America practices homosexuality today. It's a form of witchcraft. Okay? So this is, hell yeah, we're against homosexuality. And this is one of the reasons why we hate homosexuality. Okay? It says, how did African gays live before the era of globalization or colonialism? It is difficult to answer such a question because, as I've said, the category homosexuality was not recognized as it is today. The situation for those people were very different depending on where they lived in the region, their class, their age, and other sociological characteristics. Specifically, homosexual practices were not the same for a king as among the Masi of Burkina Faso today, and for a page in the king's service in the same region and in the same group. Pages included young men, sometimes disguised as women. You see this shit? Now, brothers, don't get this twisted. Don't think that. I mean, a lot of these people were our people, but like I said, they were getting this shit from when they left Egypt, and they was picking this shit up from the Hamites that were around them. Okay? So it says pages including young men, sometimes disguised as women, could play the role of a woman for the king in certain circumstances where it was forbidden to touch women. When he had homosexual relations with his page, it was more or less recognized as institutionalized. See that? Melville Herkovitz also describes marriages between women in the ancient kingdom of Dahomey, now Benin. In this case, women, often wealthy older women, sometimes married women in the absence of men. You see this? This is what the scriptures speak about. This is why we're in slavery right now. Going the fuck off. Okay? It says these wives could have lovers and their children were recognized as those of the husband's wife. The husband wife. So women, even two women that was being homosexuals, they would call husband wife. Like one was a wife, one was a husband wife. Pure confusion. It says there are all sorts of configurations on the continent. Historians work must continue, not as propaganda, but because it is good to know our history, even the history that some people wish weren't true. Knowing historical truths lets us avoid historical unhistorical lies. Why are same-sex relationships so despised in Africa? Why are people afraid of homosexuals? That's all I'm gonna have on that. I'll try to put the links up in the video. So yeah, I mean, this shit goes back to ancient Egypt. Now, some people would try to say no, the ancient Egyptians didn't practice homosexuality, but they fucking did, man. As we'll see right here. Let me get to the video. Alright, here it is right here. Alright, this video is about the Book of the Dead, okay? The video we're about to watch is about the Book of the Dead. Alright, and it goes into, you should watch it. It's called the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and it has a part 1 and a part 2. And it explains what the Book of the Dead is, okay? Brothers should watch it, so you know what these cats is talking about when they say the Bible comes from the Book of the Dead. The Book of the Dead, the Book of the Dead. You'll know what they're talking about. Alright, so let's go, let's watch.
If the wandering soul followed the directions in the scroll, he would eventually find his way to a final challenge, the Hall of Judgment.
Now, this Book of the Dead, you had to have this Book of the Dead to go through the challenges of the afterlife so that you can go to heaven. Okay? Alright, this is where the Christians get heaven and hell from. But you needed this Book of the Dead. If you didn't have the Book of the Dead, you weren't going to go to heaven. So you had to have the Book of the Dead so that you can navigate through these different challenges that you had to go through. And that's what they're about to explain to you. Now, in the Book of the Dead is something called the 42 Negative Confessions. And those are supposed to be, they claim that those are their laws in Egypt, or those are divine laws. But as you're going to see, obviously the Egyptians did not keep those laws, if they were even laws. Okay? They didn't keep them, and they needed a cheat code to get through the gates because they didn't keep them fucking laws that they was talking about. And one of them laws supposedly is, I have not slept with another man. I have not slept with man. Alright?
Here he would face 42 separate gods in front of 42 separate doors. In front of each god, he would have to deny having committed a particular sin. It was one of the greatest challenges of the afterlife.
If you don't know the correct answers, the correct thing to say at this point, you presumably are not going to be able to get through that gate and pass successfully into the next life.
These 42 commandments that Ani would have to deny having broke are called the negative confessions.
It's a litany of things that the deceased didn't do. So he says, I did not go out and murder anybody. I didn't steal anything. I didn't fool around with somebody's wife. I didn't do this, that, and the other thing. It's very informative and revealing about what probably a lot of Egyptians did do.
Right. They obviously, if you need a cheat code, or you need a guide to get through the afterworld of what to say to these so-called guys, and how smart are these fucking guys that they don't know that you lying to them. But that's beyond, that's another topic. But you needed a cheat code to get past these guys. Alright, what does it say about the ancient Egyptians, man? Alright, were they really keeping these laws that they were talking about? They needed a cheat code to get past so they can lie to their gods? Alright? And like I said, one of the things was I have not slept with man. Basically, I have not committed homosexuality. Okay? That was one of the 42 negative confessions. Alright? So obviously they were fucking homosexuals, man. Let's keep going.
But only through the spells in the Book of the Dead could a person make it through the negative confessions.
One should not confuse this with the notion of confession and repentance. This is really a magical incantation to wipe the board clean of whatever you might have done on earth.
Right. So this wasn't no spell, like you say in the scriptures that you got to repent, before, you got to repent so that you can be, right with the Most High God. Nah, this wasn't no fucking repent and don't do it again. This was, I'm going to do everything I want to. I'm going to be a homosexual. I'm going to steal. I'm going to kill. And then when I die, I'm just going to buy this book called The Book of the Dead. And that way, since I've been a homosexual my whole fucking life, I've been having sex with men and women. When I die and I go before the God, Ra, whatever God, I could just say, look, I know the answer right here because it's in the book. Look, I have not committed homosexuality. I have not laid with man. Okay, you may pass. Oh, now I'm going to go to heaven. That's what this shit is about. All right, they're going to say some bullshit about all the 10 Commandments came from this and all this stupid shit, but let's keep going.
The ancient Egyptians visualized many challenges waiting for them in the afterlife. One of the most important was to successfully undergo this judgment before the tribunal of Osiris and be found worthy to become one of the blessed dead.
The dead person's heart is the symbol of his intelligence and his emotions and even his mind.
Don't that sound familiar? See, America is modeled after ancient Egypt. That's why America's pushing this homosexuality, even Christianity. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. Christianity is modeled after Egyptian spirituality, as you call it. Well, I'm just gonna say Egyptian religion. Because doesn't that sound familiar? The heart is where all your emotions and shit like that is. And they're not talking about your mind. They're talking about your actual heart in your damn chest. And we sit out there every day correcting these stupid ass people about saying shit about your heart this, and I believe in my heart, and they point to their damn chest. We have to correct them. The Hebrew word for heart is la'ab, and it means your mind. Okay? But they steady go with this Egyptian shit of your heart being your, your heart being the seat of your thoughts, not your mind, but your actual heart that pumps blood. You know why? Because the ancient Egyptians did not think that they thought that the brain had no significant use. All right, and this is shit these Egyptian motherfuckers is not gonna tell you. All right.
The heart is, of course, where your essence lay and where your sort of good and bad deeds were.
The deceased would then hand his heart scarab amulet to Horus to be weighed against the single feather of the goddess Ma'at.
Ma'at was a goddess who is basically the personification of truth, justice, order, balance.
That's why you hear these people, these Egyptologists always talk about the laws of Ma'at. All right, Ma'at is supposed to be a goddess, but they use it as saying like laws. Like the 42 negative confessions is a part of the laws of Ma'at, as they say. All right.
The heart could not be heavier than truth, but it couldn't be lighter either. It had to balance out. It's interesting that those phrases also continue to exist in our language. You talk about somebody being lighthearted or heavy-hearted.
Exactly, because America is based off of Egypt. Okay, it's nothing to hide about that. America is based off of Egypt. Christianity is based off of Egypt. Okay, the Bible is not based off of Egypt, but the Christianity is based off of Egypt. Why? Because the Roman Catholic Church, which was started by black men, which was started by Hebrews, started to digress from the actual laws of the Most High and the writings of the Most High, and they start to digress into Egyptian philosophy. There were a bunch of Hebrews that fled from Israel to Egypt, and they was in the library of Alexandria. All right, and the certain ones of them was following Greek ways, Greek customs, and they started to incorporate these Greek and Egyptian philosophies. Might I add you that the Roman and the Greek and the Egyptians merged into one culture, but they started to merge these Greek, Roman, and Egyptian philosophies into their everyday life, into their religion, and they called it Christianity. Yes, Christians worship the sun. Yes, Christians speak of things like the heart in terms of the actual pumping heart instead of your mind. But it's a perversion of the scriptures. They're not going according to the scriptures. They're going according to, I would say, more so of spoken, how do you say it? Oral histories of Christianity, if that's even the right way to say it. And these things are based off of ancient Egypt. And it's homosexuality. Why do you think it's okay in the Christian church to accept homosexuals? Because the shit goes back to Egypt. Christianity is no more than a repackaging of ancient Egypt philosophy. Dude told you that the priests were homosexuals, the shamans were homosexuals. Most of the pastors in the Christian church are fucking homosexuals. Look at the Roman Catholic Church. Most of their I forget what they call them. Their priests are homosexuals. So I'll go back to Egypt. But the scripture itself doesn't go back to Egypt. The scripture, nobody on this earth except for the Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites, are following the scriptures correctly. Everybody else is following a perversion of the scriptures. They have the Bible in their hand and they're telling you about the Bible, but they're not following it. They're following Christianity in ancient Egypt. They just have the Bible in their hand. All right, so let's keep going.
No deceased wanted to be stuck just relying on their own purity of heart. Hence the Book of the Dead with the appropriate magic spells that kind of make up the difference, help you get through by the skin of your teeth. But there is an option that you might not pass the test, and if you are not making good use of your Book of the Dead magic spells.
See, it ain't even about what type of life you live. It's about your Book of the Dead. All right, it ain't about how, if you were righteous, if you didn't sleep with a man, if you had a wife and you dealt right with your wife, and if you kept the laws of your God. It ain't about that. It's about having the Book of the Dead, and you could just be a homosexual.
You would be thrown to the monster, Amit. She is the devourer of souls, the devourer of the dead.
The job of this monstrous creature, which combined a crocodile, a lion, a hippopotamus, ferocious creatures like that, was to instantly devour any deceased person who was found guilty there in the Hall of Judgment.
If Amit eats your heart, you cease to exist. For the ancient Egyptians, that was the scariest thing. It wasn't punishment. It was not being able to exist at all.
The stone heart scarab, which represented the dead man's heart, was now put to the final test, a test for eternity or oblivion.
Don't that remind you of something? Doesn't that remind you of Dante's Inferno? Where they had the devil or some demon that would eat you? He would eat your body? So this is where all this shit come from, man. This homosexuality come from Egypt. And it's not just from Egypt. Ancient Babylon. It goes all the way to the antediluvian world. Okay? So let's get into some scriptures, all right? So why do we hate homosexuality? as I explained earlier, homosexuality is a perversion, man. All right? Homosexuality is the transgression of the Most High God, the transgression of so-called humanity. You're transgressing against humanity because you're not repopulating the earth like the Most High God said, or like the Creator said. Be fruitful and multiply. You got to keep the so-called human race going. But let's just deal with our people. You got to keep the so-called Israelite. You got to keep the Israelite race going. The so-called black race going. By repopulating, by multiplying yourself. So you're transgressing against your race. You're transgressing against yourself because you're not multiplying yourself. All right? And don't give me that shit where you saying, oh, well, why are you mad with what I do with my body? It's me. If I don't want to repopulate myself, I don't have to. No, nigga. You have a responsibility to your nation, man, that you need to repopulate yourself, man. To keep your nation going, man. All right, you have a responsibility. Not only are you transgressing against yourself, you're transgressing against your father, man. Your ancestors. Because you have a responsibility to your forefathers, your ancestors, your father, your grandfather, your mother, and your grandmother to reproduce yourself so that their line may keep going. So that their line may go into the future. So you're transgressing against them too. And then most of all, you're transgressing against the Most High God. Alright, so Leviticus chapter 20 verse 13. If a man also lie with mankind as he lied with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Alright? So they're supposed to be put to death. Let's read about what they did to the Sodomites, all right, which is homosexuals, in the scriptures. This is 1 Kings 14:24. And there were also Sodomites in the land, and they did according to all the abominations of the nations which the Lord cast out before them, before the children of Israel. 1 Kings 15:12. And he took away the Sodomites out of the land and removed all the idols that his father had made. All right, these are certain kings, man. And they took all the Sodomites out the damn land. Alright, because that shit is like a virus. Once you have one homosexual, he doing all this homosexual shit, he convinced others to become homosexuals, man. It's like a fucking parasite, man, that spirit, man. 1 Kings 22:46. And the remnant of the Sodomites, which were in the days of his father Asa, he took out of the land. Alright? Notice they keep taking them out the land. 2 Kings chapter 23 verse 7. And he brake down the houses of the Sodomites that were by the house of the Lord, where the woman wove hangings for the grove. So he broke down their houses, man. Alright, this sodomite shit and homosexuality, that shit is a parasite, man. And your kids have to sit up here and watch this shit, and that put thoughts in their mind. Alright, kids grow up, the way kids are programmed, kids follow the things that they see, okay? If you raise a kid with dogs, he's going to act like a fucking dog. Alright, kids have to go through programming. They're raised by certain societies, and that's why you have to have a culture for kids to be raised in, man. Because if they're raised by animals, they're going to act like an animal. If they're raised by homosexuals, they're going to act like homosexuals. If they're raised by Christians, they're going to act like Christians. If they're raised by Israelites, they're going to act like Israelites. If they're raised by Africans, they're going to act like Africans. Alright, so you have to take that homosexuality shit and toss that shit away. You got to put them to death if you have a society. You have a culture, because the children that will see them kissing in public and doing this, it might not affect every single child, but a lot of those children are going to think that's okay. If I have two sons and a daughter, and my sons and my daughters see two men in public kissing, yeah, it's not, you might think that it's not affecting them. Oh, it's not hurting them. They're not kissing them. No, but it's affecting their mind because those kids, from that image of two men kissing, they think that's okay. If the parent don't tell him that shit is not okay, then the kid's going to grow up thinking it's okay. And one of them kids might grow up to be a homosexual. And that's why homosexuality is so rampant today. And it wasn't so rampant when we were kids, or when our grandfathers and grandmothers and great-grandfathers were living. That shit wasn't rampant. Alright? Romans chapter 1. Matter of fact, let me read this scripture. It's Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 37. A sword is upon their houses, and upon their chariots, and upon all the mingled people. Who are the mingled people? America, the melting pot, that are in the midst of her. And they shall become as women. What does that mean? Now, really, it's talking about in the time of in the time of martial law, these men are gonna act like they're gonna just basically become like women. They're not gonna have no will to fight. They're gonna be scared as fuck. They're gonna be like women. All right, but in another sense, we could use it for this. These men today are like women. Okay, they have become like women. If they're not having sex like women, like a man having sex with another man. If they're not like that, they're effeminate. Okay? Alright, so let's go to the last scripture. Romans chapter 1, verse 21. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God. Neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was deceived, was darkened. All right, well, matter of fact, let's skip up some more. Verse 18, for the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who hold the truth in unrighteousness. All right, because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God has shown it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen. What are the invisible things of him that were created from the world which are clearly seen? The laws of the universe, gravity, the wind, all right, radiation, cool and hot, cool and heat, all these different things, especially now because we know we have a lot of scientific things going on where we know about a lot of things, such as ultraviolet light. These are things that are unseen, that are invisible, that were created by the Most High, that are clearly seen. It says, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so they are without excuse. You don't have no excuse now. It says, because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Alright, so that's why all this dumb shit they talking about in this Egyptology, and not only just Egyptology, but America. America is fools, man. They're talking about men came from apes. And then you got these niggas in Egypt talking about men came from apes. And then you got motherfuckers talking about they worshiping the sun. And then you got motherfuckers in Egypt and then all in this African shit talking about they atheists. Like they can't see the things that the Most High created. It says, and change the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like unto corruptible man, and to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things, animals. You got this one nigga on YouTube saying that we worship and saying that we supposed to, that nature is our gods. In fact, let me find it.
Greetings, people. Paul Muckle here. Today is January 13th, 2014 at 11:50 p.m. Eastern Time. My people, wow is what I can say. Today I have the most amazing, the most awesome revelation that just came flooding down on me like 100-ton ton of lead a few hours ago. Wow. I'm saying wow because I'm still right here trying to decipher this information. People, it all began, right? Let me say this first, right? Who said that the black man doesn't have a God? Why isn't the black man worshiping his God today? Even I am guilty of it until a few years ago. People, black people today, right? This is very important for each one of you. White people, this is for you too. Chinese, Indians, this is for you. Because what I'm about to show you guys, you are going to come to a stunning realization. A stunning realization how much we are all being deceived. So all of you need to watch this. If it takes an hour for me to present this to you guys, I promise you, people, I promise you, if what I'm about to show you, right, if what I'm about to show you doesn't change your whole outlook on life, people, the ancient Kemetic, Egyptian, Nubian, Africans did not believe in myth. The Kemetic figures that you all see in Egypt, they are not figures of myth. The ancient Kemetic belief were not based on myth or superstition. The ancient Kemetics, who are our ancestors, did not believe in, did not worship evil. They did not worship false gods. They did not worship statues. These people worship Mother and Father Nature, because those are our gods. The reason why the Egyptians, ancient Kemetic, the reason why they drew these figures and made statues of them, they were paying respect and tribute to the aspect of the human psyche and his mentality. That's what they were doing. So Kemetic figures that you all see in Egypt, they are not figures of myth. The ancient Kemetic belief were not based on myth or superstition. The ancient Kemetics, who are our ancestors, did not believe in, did not worship evil. They did not worship false gods. They did not worship statues. These people worship Mother and Father Nature.
Exactly. That's my point. So let's go back. Where was I? Romans. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like unto corruptible man, and to birds, and to four-footed beasts, and to creeping things. Alright? Now, I'm going to hold that. I'm going to go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1. Very surely, vain are all men by nature who are ignorant of God, and could not, out of the good things that are seen, know him that is. Neither by considering the works did they acknowledge the workmaster. They looking at Mother Nature and Father Nature, as they call it, all right, as the Mother God and the Father God, just nature. Instead of looking at the thing that created these things to be the true God. All right, let's keep going. But deemed either fire or wind or swift air or circles of the stars. What's the circle? What's fire, wind, the circle of the stars? The sun. You got polite, and I'm not going to get it. You got polite trying to break down out there that God is the sun, and how the sun made the earth and made these stars and all this shit like that. This is shit that we're talking about. This is what the prophets were talking about. And this is why they got perverted. All the way down to this homosexuality. We'll read that in a second. It says, or violent waters, or the lights of the heaven to be gods which govern the world, with whose beauty if they being delighted took them to be gods, let them know how much better the Lord of them is. For the first author of beauty had created them. But if they were astonished at their power and their virtue, if you astonished at the power of nature and the virtue of nature, let them understand by them how much mightier he is that made them. So if you understand, if you're in awe about the power and the glory of nature, then you should try to understand how you should look at how mightier the creator of them the nature is. It says, for by the greatness and the beauty of the creatures, proportionably the maker of them is seen. You see how pretty the animals and shit were and the flowers were in that video? Look at this, look at these. Look at this. That's beautiful. Look how the flower opened up and closed. That's beautiful. Alright, but you don't look at that and worship that itself. You worship the Most High God who created that. Okay? It says, for by the greatness and beauty of the creature, proportionally the maker of them is seen. But yet, for this they are less to be blamed. For they peradventure err seeking the Most High, and desirous to find him. For being conversant in his works, they search him diligently and believe their sight. Alright? And if you notice, and I'm getting into the ancient Egyptians now, if you notice, when you looked at the Book of the Dead, it was very fucking carnal. How in the spirit world, when you're supposed to be dead, how is your spirit in the body and then your body get eaten, your body and your spirit get eaten by fucking some monster, and then you just die forever? Why is your heart, your fleshy heart, alright, is where your spirit is? Your fleshy heart, if that get eaten, the fleshy heart, if it gets eaten, then you cease to exist. Why is it that when the ancient Egyptians buried, the reason the ancient Egyptians made mummies is because they thought that after the person died, they would need to come back to their body so they could taste and hear and see the pleasures of the afterlife. Because they were carnal, man. They believed their sight. Because the things are beautiful that are seen, howbeit neither are they to be pardoned. For if they were able to know so much that they could aim at the world, how did they not sooner find out the Lord thereof? Okay? Why are they worshiping nature and not the Most High who created it? Alright? Now how does all of this tie into homosexuality? Because it says, professing themselves to be wise, like the ancient Egyptians did, like you do in America today. Alright, like the Kemites, alright, the dudes that worship Kemet, that's into Kemet, like they do, they became fools and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like unto corruptible man, into birds, into four-footed beasts, and the creeping things. Basically, nature. Change the Most High God into nature, and the sun and the stars and shit. Wherefore God gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts. Okay, to dishonor their bodies between themselves. All right, you see that? Wherefore God gave them up unto uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between each other. What does that mean? They start to be homosexuals. That's why the Egyptians are homosexuals. That's why America's homosexuals. That's why the Romans were homosexual. That's why the Greeks were homosexuals. They built up all this knowledge in perversion, man, and worship nature and things of that and things like that. To where the Most High let them, he gave them up to their own perversions, man. Since you want to worship these damn things, all right, hey, you be faggots then. All right, I'll let I'm gonna let you just be subject to the lust of your own heart. Verse 25, it says, who changed the truth of God into a lie. All right, the Most High is not a fucking son. All right, the Most High is not the son. The Most High is not nature, and the Most High is not nature, mother and father nature. It says, and worship and serve the creature more than the creator. You serving the things that the Most High created. All right, you gonna serve the sun rather than the Most High God? You gonna pray to the sun rather than the one that created the sun. All right, who is blessed forever? Say the son created itself. Verse 26. For this cause God gave them up to vile affections. Okay. For even their own women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. That's why these women are homosexuals now. All right. And likewise, also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, they don't want the woman no more, burn in their lust to one towards another. All right. That's why this dude, what's his name? Shaka Amos. That's why he looks like a woman. Like his spirit. His spirit in him he looks like a woman. He moves like a woman, man. If he's not a homosexual, he's very fucking effeminate. Okay? It says men with men working that which is unseemly and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error which was met. Alright? And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge. See, you pushing this Egypt shit. You pushing this America shit. You ain't retaining the Most High in your knowledge. You ain't retaining a creator God. Just like America's talking about some fucking there's no God. This what is it called? Can't think right now. Atheism shit. You Egyptian niggas doing the same thing. You worshiping the sun, talking about it ain't no Most High, it ain't no Yahawah. It ain't no divine being that created everything. Alright? So you don't like to retain the Most High in your knowledge? It says that God gave them over to a reprobate mind. Reprobate. Let's look at this word reprobate. Let's look what it means in the Greek. Alright? Adokimos. It says not standing the test, not approved, properly used for metals and coins, that which does not prove itself such as it ought. Unfit for, unproved. Alright? It's unfit mind. He gave him an unfit mind. Alright? God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient. That's why this dude, Amos, Shaka Amos, talking about, you know, if you want to be, if you're homosexual, it's not. It's not like I'm saying there's anything wrong with being a homosexual. If you want to do it, then do it. It is something wrong with being homosexual. You're a reprobate. All right. Romans 1:29, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, disrespectful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, and implacable, unmerciful. And don't that sound like all the shit that them so-called African dudes is into? These dudes with Sinetta, and most importantly, doesn't that sound like America? Why wouldn't they be homosexuals, man? This is the things what they're filled with. Alright? It says, knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. Now all of this stuff in homosexuality are worthy to be put to death, man. That's why we hate homosexuality. It's a fucking cancer, man. When you start pushing that shit, or you just let it go, it spreads, man. It spreads because people see that image of other people having same sex and they think, well, maybe I should be like that. Hey, man, you know, your kid walk around and he see two men kissing and he say, that's okay, you know. Homosexuality is okay. You know, maybe you know, I'm having a problem with these women. Maybe I should just deal with one of these gay men. You know, your daughter walking around and, you know, some nigga do it wrong or something like that. you know, he not some you know, do a wrong, or she just mad with men, and she say, you know what, I'm tired of men. I'm gonna do like that girl when I was young and I seen the two women kissing. I'm gonna be like them, and I'm just gonna find a woman to have a girlfriend. You know, cause I'm tired of men. You know, fuck having children. Fuck my nation. You know, hey, forget my creator. You know, hey, forget my ancestors. I'm not gonna forward my generation because I'm mad with men. I'm just gonna get a woman to have sex with her. Whatever kind of sex you can have with two women or two men. Alright, so that's why we hate homosexuality, man. Now, I seen an article here that I wanted to read. "21 varieties of traditional African homosexuality. At least 21 cultural varieties of same-sex relationships have long been part of traditional African life, as demonstrated in a new report that is designed to dispel the confusion and lies surrounding Uganda's anti-homosexual bill. Following the following discussion and 21 examples are from the report Expanded Criminalization of Homosexuality in Uganda, a flawed narrative, empirical evidence, and strategic alternatives from an African perspective, which was prepared by sexual minorities of Uganda." All right. It says, in their work, anthropologists Stephen Murray and Will Roscoe provide wide-ranging evidence in support of the fact that throughout Africa's history, homosexuality has been a constant and logical feature of African societies and belief systems. You see that? Homosexuality has been a constant and logical feature of African societies and belief systems. That little homosexual Egyptian Kemet nigga told you that shit. That they were the fucking shamans, spiritual men of Africa. It says Tabu Masibi of the University of KwaZulu. You got them Zulus, boy. Natal documents many examples in Africa of same-sex desire being accommodated within pre-colonial rule. Deborah P. Omri speaks of a long history of diverse African peoples emerging in same-sex relationships. Drawing on anthropological studies of pre-colonial and colonial eras, it is possible to document a vast array of same-sex practices and diverse understandings of genders across the entire continent. Examples include one notably explicit Bushman painting which depicts African men engaging in same-sex sexual activity. Okay, see? There you go. This is a painting by a Bushman. Okay? In the late 1640s, a Dutch military activity documented in Nzinga. Oh shit, I was just reading about Nzinga yesterday. Alright? Documented in Nzinga, a warrior woman in the Ndongo kingdom of the Mbondu, who ruled as king rather than queen, dressed as a man and surrounded herself with a harem of young women who dressed as women and who were her wives. Wow. 18th century anthropologist Father J.B. Labat documented that Jinga Ya Shibanda, presiding priest of the Gaigis, a group within the Congo kingdom who routinely cross-dressed. See this shit? A priest who routinely cross-dressed and was referred to as grandmother. In traditional monarchical Zandi culture, anthropologists anthropological records describe homosexuality as indigenous. The Azandi of the northern Congo routinely married younger men who functioned as temporary wives, a practice that was institutionalized to such an extent that warriors would pay bride price to the young man's parent. Amongst Bantu speaking Pohane farmers, Bini, Bulu, Fang, Jondi, Mokuk, Mawali, and Entum, and Pangui, in present-day Gabon and Cameroon, homosexual intercourse was known as Bian Nukuma, a medicine for wealth which was transmitted through sexual activity between men. You see, this shit is witchcraft. Alright, it was known as Banukuma, a medicine for wealth which was transmitted through sexual activity between men. You're supposed to get rich from having sex with another man. Similarly, in Uganda, amongst the Nilotico Longo men who assumed alternative gender status were known as Mukodo Dako. They were treated as women and were permitted to marry other men. Wow. 7. Same-sex relationships were reported amongst other groups in Uganda, including the Bohema, the Banyoro, and the Baganda. King Mwanga II, the Baganda monarch, was widely reported to have engaged in sexual relations between his male subject. Oh, okay, hold on. So y'all talking about King what's his name? King James was a homosexual. Why would we follow him? Hold on. Why would we follow the Bible that he written? You got a king in Africa that was a homosexual. Why are you following African traditions? Okay, why are you following that? Okay, next one. A Jesuit working in southern Africa in 1606 described finding Shibadi, which are men attired like women and behave themselves womanly, ashamed to be called men. Damn, this shit is long as hell. I'm gonna read all of it. Fuck it. Alright, we're gonna read all this shit. In the early 17th century in present-day Angola, Portuguese priest Gaspar as Verduc and Antonius Squarius encountered men who spake, sat, and dressed like women, and who entered into marriages with men. Such marriages were honored and even prized. In the Itiso community, based in northern Kenya and Uganda, same-sex relations existed amongst men who behaved as and were socially accepted as women. 13. Same-sex practices were also recorded among the Banyaro and the Langi. In pre-colonial Benin, homosexuality was seen as a phase that boys passed through and grew out of. Wow. That's some gay shit. There were practices of female and female marriages amongst the Nandi and Kisi of Kenya, as well as the Igbo of Nigeria. Whoa. I guess you got this amongst people that were practicing Israel, which that could be the case because they came from Egypt. All right, a lot of them came from Egypt, and if they didn't come from Egypt, they were around Native Africans, and would sometimes marrying Native Africans. It says the Nuer of Sudan and Kuria of Tanzania. Among Cape Bantu, lesbianism was ascribed to women who were in the process of becoming chief diviners, known as and insinuousness. You see this? Among the Cape Bantu, lesbianism was ascribed to women who were in the process of becoming chief diviners. So that's what that guy told you. He told you that. He told you that, you know, to be a homosexual and all this shit like that. You know, the homosexuals were the he said among Egypt, the homosexuals were the priest or the shaman. That was the role of homosexual men. It says this is in no means an exclusive list, given to overwhelming evidence of pre-colonial same-sex relations which continue into the colonial and post-colonial eras, as well as historical evidence of diverse understandings of gender identity. It is clear that homosexuality is no more alien to Africa than it is to any other part of the world. As stated by Murray and Roscoe, numerous reports also indicate that in the highly sex-segregated societies of Africa, homosexual behavior and relationships were not uncommon among peers, both male and female, especially in the years before homosexual marriage. These kind of relationships were identified with specific terms and were to varying degrees institutionalized. What the colonializers imposed on Africa was not homosexuality, but rather intolerance of it, and systems of surveillance and regulation for suppressing it. Alright, so that's the article right there. So I'll put the links up for these articles in the video. So as you can see, alright, here's that gay king right here. It's a picture of him. King Wanga II of Burgundy, the gay king who reportedly had sexual relations with men. Alright, this is him right there. Alright, so as you can see, this homosexuality shit comes in part from Africa, man. I'm not saying that Africa is the source of it. Well, you know what? If you want to say that Africa was where all creation started, then hell yeah. Africa is the source of homosexuality. Take that shit too if you want to take the glory of Africa being the homeland of creation. Alright? But as you can see, homosexuality was in Africa, in your great civilizations like Egypt, like Ethiopia. Alright? And in Africa, among the heathens, the priests were homosexuals. A homosexual man was a spiritual man amongst the fucking Hamites. Alright? So yeah. So with that, my name is CHAARAWTAZA. All praise to YAHAWASHI. Double honors to the elders. Great Millstone, that's my elders. Peace and blessings to the brothers out there teaching the truth and sincerity, and the brothers and sisters that listen. Alright, and with that I say YAHAWASHI, Barak Atam, Shalom Akim.